Hi, welcome. We're doing a September reading wrap up. So these are all the books that I read in September. This is gonna be in no particular order. It's just the stack that I have right next to me. Okay, I'm so late to the game with this one, but I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and this is so beautiful. First of all, look at that map. Ooh. This is a fantasy romance, or the term has been going around, romantasy. This book was so good. I actually love that the first page says book talk praise for. It 1000% blew up on TikTok. I saw so many videos about the book over the summer and I just didn't pick it up. I had so much on my TBR. I was traveling, I was working. I just didn't read it. But then I went to the bookstore one day. I bought it because vibes and buying books. It was really good, don't get me wrong. I just don't think it reinvented the wheel. What I did really like, and I completely agree with everyone saying this online, are the comparisons to Divergent and Hunger Games. It's definitely more dystopian, which I really liked because I haven't read any of that since I was probably in high school, and having it mixed with the dragons and the romance was really good. The enemies to lovers in this book is top tier, and the scenes, the spicy scenes, they do good. I honestly really recommend this. I don't really do star ratings anymore because I find it so hard to pick after every book I've read, but I just would highly recommend this if you like romance and fantasy, and even if you have never read a fantasy, it's a pretty good starting point. There are quite a lot of politics, I will say, so I don't know if that turns off a lot of people from fantasy, but I think it's very digestible, and how she mixes in the politics, the romance, the fantasy, the magic, the dragons, I think it blends so nicely, and there's not too much of an emphasis on only one thing while alienating the other parts of the book. All in all, recommend. This is book one. Okay, we're continuing with a bang. Then there's Magnolia Parks. So actually, this is the most recent book I read, or is the last book I read in September. This book was trending everywhere, all the bookish communities online, and I get it. Okay, if you've been living under a rock, this book, Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, is Gossip Girl but London, and a huge emphasis on the romance. When I first heard it be compared to Gossip Girl, I made an image in my head of what I thought the book would be, but I just want to say it's 1000% romance. Like, I there's really not much else other than romance. The plot is great, and it's so fast-paced, and you really fall in love with the characters, and I like the found family in it as well, but I will just tell you, the plot is romance. That is the driving force of this book, and I love that. There's so many twists and turns, so many highs and lows. You go through it with this couple, and again, the best way it's been described is frustrating. You are reading this thinking like, why are you being so dumb in the romance? You know, it's just, you want to strangle them and tell them like, this is how you be together. Anyway, it's so good. All the emotions it's evoked, I haven't felt this strongly about a book in so long, and I'm currently reading Daisy Hates, which is the companion novel, which is about another character that we meet in this series. So it's really great because they're going on the same timeline, and it just kind of gives more insight into things you read in the first book. So I just can't recommend this enough. I think anyone who reads this can take something different out of this book. Just the grip this romance has on me and how connected I feel to these characters, and the plot twist, like my jaw dropped. It's so good. I don't know if my babbling is making sense, but if you haven't read it, you should. I'm going to talk about these two together, but I also finished the off-campus series. So I started this a few months ago, probably in spring, and this is a very popular series. The first one, The Deal, is probably the most well-known and viral on Book Talk, which is with Garrett and Hannah. They're a very famous like Book Talk romance couple. But I've been reading the series over the past few months, and I just kept getting sidetracked with other books and other series, honestly, but I did really enjoy them. The one thing I'll say is that the goal was accidental pregnancy trope, and I understand the hate. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. It was a well-written book, and the characters I enjoyed. I didn't need there to be a baby for there to be this romance, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Then we have The Legacy. This one I didn't love as much. This is the 5th and final book. So you see on the back, there are 4 other books in the series, and there are 4 different couples. This book is basically the after for all 4 of the couples, but it was still a good book. I just think I'm past the point of like fluffy filler books. Feels like a novella, but it's quite big, honestly. I just wanted some more juice and drama, but there wasn't much. They were happy, which was cute to read. Does that make me toxic for not enjoying it? Ooh, then we have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and this book was intense to read. So I picked this up not knowing the plot. I never read the back of it, and I've already read the classics, The Secret History, and that's kind of it. That's the only dark academia I can think of that I've read, but that was an amazing book. So I thought this would be kind of like that. It is, however, fantasy. So there's a magical element to this book, and it deals with the dead. So our main character can actually see ghosts and people who have passed away in her everyday life. And it's a bit scary because most people who can see these ghosts have to take drugs to be able to see them. And it's this elite society in Yale. I think they're like an association or a society or something. And they perform rituals. And it turns out that there are quite a few little secret societies at Yale that kind of dabble in different types of dark magic. But the biggest point here is that our main character naturally can do this, naturally can see these dead people and even interact with them, which no one else really can. So she's kind of plucked and like picked to go to Yale after a big incident in her life. So there's a lot of character development, and we're uncovering like the trauma of her past, why she can see these ghosts. There's also a tiny subplot of romance. I don't think it was a big part of the book, but it was still quite interesting. And the way that the magic works was really confusing at first. I think that's why I was so spooked by it, because it's a bit gory in my opinion. It's probably not that bad. It's just I hate gore and anything gross. I can't deal with it. I can deal with scary and like thriller and weird, but this just had a bit too much description of dead people that I didn't need. All that being said, by the end, there's a big cliffhanger and I really liked it. I don't think I would continue with this series because I got enough. You know, I saw the spooky vibes for September going into October, and I learned about the characters. I think I'm good now. I'm trying to kind of sell you on this. I don't know if I would recommend it. I think it really depends on the reader. But I think if you like spooky paranormal things, you would enjoy this. Then we have Alone with You in the Ether. I have no idea how you say it, by Ollie V. Blake. Unpopular opinion, I think it was hyped up a little too much. It didn't feel great reading it. I don't know how else to describe it. I think it was kind of hard to get through at times. It's a bit heavier just because there's such weird and interesting characters. So the process of reading it wasn't the best. Like, I don't think I fully enjoyed my time. That being said, I was so compelled to keep picking it up and I wanted to finish it, and I was intrigued, and I really liked the characters, even though they're both unlikable and do very questionable things. So I think that just shows the power of the writing to compel you to want to read more and be kind of confused about who they are as people, how they're intertwining, how this romance is going to work out, all the while not being super like giddy and happy because it's a romance. I've never quite read something like it, but it's not one of my favorite books. I'm gonna remember the characters forever and how odd they were and how they mixed and how I think these people could probably exist in real life, but I'm terrified for them. The next 2 books I don't have with me. I actually don't know where my copy is of This Is How You Lose the Time War. First of all, I had no idea it's a romance, let alone a sapphic romance. I was so pleasantly surprised. I was kind of unraveling the romance as I was reading because I was reading these letters and I was thinking, there's a hint of something here. They're not just friends. And I'm so glad I picked this up. It's kind of sci-fi-y, but a love story between 2 women who are agents on opposite sides of a time war that goes between different dimensions and times and realms and worlds, kind of. It's so interesting. I really don't know how else to explain it. I think you have to read it to get it. There were some points in reading the book where I felt so dumb. I just didn't understand, and that's okay. Sometimes I won't understand everything a book is saying, but I still appreciated it so much. And I haven't read that type of romance in quite a while. This book just made me feel really smart, really happy to be in love. Like, it made me want to go hug everyone I love and be so appreciative of that. And it really shows you the ups and downs of loving someone and then losing them and then finding them again. It was just so good. And the last book I read, I have almost no thoughts about, is The Final Offer, which is the third book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. And I didn't really like this one. I thought it was okay. I was over the series by then. I liked the first one. I loved the second book in the series. I don't know why that one really had me in a chokehold. I read it really fast and loved the man and the woman. Can't remember their names. This third one, there's a child involved, and that usually puts me off of a book right away just because I don't want to be having kids anytime soon. So I think it just kind of takes me out of the world and makes it harder for me to relate and enjoy. But that being said, Lauren Asher writes great books. I think they're fun and fast and enjoyable. Thoughts? Many. Cohesive words? Not many. And the fact that I don't give star ratings, you're probably sitting here like, did she like it? Did she not? I don't know. And that's why I can't give ratings, because I'll read a book and I'll be like, oh, I'm so glad I read that. But what do I think of it? Or where would I rate it on a scale? I can't. My mouth is so dehydrated from talking so fast. If you've made it to this part of the video, I appreciate you. I just rambled for a very, very long time. And if you haven't noticed, I am wearing my October t-shirt. This is from a magical shop I will link down below. I bought this like 4 years ago. And this shirt says, I'm so glad I live in a world where there are Octobers. And I especially love this because now it's officially October when I'm filming this video. And my birthday's in October, so October supremacy 1000%. On October 1st, I texted all of the people I care about, happy October 1st to all those who celebrate. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I am going to go read more of this book, which is Daisy Hates, which is the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe series, and I highly recommend. Also, Jessica Hastings commented on my TikTok, and I died on the spot, and now I'm just so happy.